ogromną wdzięcznością i pokorą przyjmuję ten wielki zaszczyt. Współpraca z Uniwersytetem Jagiellońskim a w szczególności z Katedrą Ginekologii i Położnictwa pod kierownictwem profesora Basta i profesora Pityńskiego była dla mnie i dla mojej kliniki olbrzymim wzbogaceniem i zawsze charakteryzowała się wzajemnym uznaniem. In view of the fairly recent history of Krakow, I think that this honor of Doctor honoris causa is more than the honorary doctorate. It is an act of mutual understanding and perhaps also of forgiving. And I shall try my level best to prove worthy of this honor. I have been kindly invited to say a few wise words about medicine. Now, I feel that I'm not yet old enough to be wise, so maybe you bear with me when I just share with you a few of my experiences that in the end have proven to be quite important in the development of medicine. And as has been mentioned by all of you, one is endoscopic surgery and the other is reproductive medicine. In endoscopic surgery, it was a development that at that time was not known to me. I was made the private assistant of Professor Sem, who at that time was an extremist. He was laughed about because he practiced surgery or diagnostics in a very clumsy way, what was called chopstick surgery. And it was also a hard job because instruments at that time were really bulky and I had to wear a heavy camera on my shoulders. And it was when he decided to remove an appendix, and this I'm telling the surgeon, it was that he knew in advance that this would create problems, and the fellow surgeons of our own university were accusing him to the court of malpractice. But Professor Sem was a very clever man. He had chosen an appendix with endometriosis at the tip. So the judges realized that this was a gynecological disease and therefore he was entitled to remove the appendix. Once this was made known, this was also the moment when endoscopic surgery spread worldwide. And it so happened that we immediately thereafter were invited mainly to the US, but also to many other countries in order to explain what we understood as endoscopic surgery. And this also meant that suddenly I was, on a wave of endoscopic surgery, that I was flushed into this area, and this has never stopped, as you know. And I'm happy to be here now with Professor Pityński and Professor Basta, because this week, Friday and Saturday, will be a comprehensive workshop and congress on this topic, covering, as far as I could understand the Polish program, all aspects of endoscopic surgery in gynecology. Now, we have to know that even though in gynecology, roughly 80% or even more surgical interventions are done by endoscopic surgery, there are still some areas which will not be touched, and that is huge bulky tumors and, no surprise, cesarean section, the most common intervention in our field. The next aspect, as I mentioned, was reproductive medicine. And as you outlined, I had been to Australia and learned reproductive immunology. So I was offered, still being in Australia, a permanent position in Germany, which at that time was very unusual. And basically, I never wanted to become a gynecologist. So, having this position, I became immediately part of the team for in vitro fertilization, which was also hard work. And it meant that we had to check the LH, the luteinizing hormone level, every hour in order to find out when the ovulation was approaching. So endoscopic surgery together with reproductive medicine meant that there was little time for other things. And I'm very grateful to my wife and my family that they allowed me to do so. So the flowers will go to you. Now, reproductive medicine, and you know that the origin of this was in 78 when Louise Brown, the first IVF baby, was born, has always been accused as stretching the limits of ethics and morale too far. Now, these limits have always become wider, even by very strong criticists. And this also meant that in Germany, I had become part of the IVF or reproductive medicine scene with a lot of public discussions. And I'm still very proud that I was invited by Pope Benedict to the Papal Academy of Life to the Vatican to explain, as one of 8 foreign doctors, the view on medical causes of infertility. And following these vast number of publications in this area, this is the most active part of publication in the field of medicine. There is no end to it. And we have reached a stage where we can decipher the genome of the oocyte as well as the embryo. And it won't be before too long that also genome treatment will be available. And I think this is something where we can discuss for a long time whether this is good or bad. And it's like with the atomic bomb, you know, the development has been made and no one can really know how it will continue. Again, coming back to Krakow, I'm very happy to see that Professor Jach, who is not here today, at least I did not...
Yes, yes. It's here.
Is a wise man to take care of treatment of infertile couples, so that this is extremely well taken care of today. Now, when talking about development in medicine, I think that my generation and the generation sitting here, the ones that are a little older than me, but also the ones that are a little younger, are in a very, very fortunate area because we have witnessed developments in general, but also in medicine, that is enormous. And Krakow University has always been at the forefront of developments. Concerning my personal achievement and development, today is the one of the most important days. And I would like to thank you very much. Dziękuję.